Hello everyone and welcome to this video. In this video, we are going to deep dive into building our dbt model fully. Now, the way we're going to build the dbt model is not just like a random dbt modeling, just so that we can learn how to do dbt modeling. I want this to be very close to the reality of how we would do it in a real life scenario. So in an organization, whenever you're building or you have a request to build a data warehouse model, it's typically sort of driven by a use case or a business requirement. So to make sure we are sort of building something that is useful and also kind of more aligned to how we would do day to day, I have basically got a bunch of business questions, and we'll use those business questions to then build our dbt model. So by the end of the dbt model build, we would be able to use those to then answer those business questions through a bunch of queries. So that should be pretty fun. And also in our previous video, we basically stopped just before advancing into sort of dbt modeling. So if you have basically any gap in the knowledge, I'll recommend for you to go back into the couple of those videos that I've got previously, and then kind of take it from there to refresh your memory before diving into this video. Now, with that out of the way, you now have a bit of an understanding of what we're going to do in this video, so that's great. I also want to kind of share a bit more of an idea of how other things that we're going to be doing in the video that might be quite a bit of a different thing compared to more of a typical sort of dbt tutorials or data warehouse modeling tutorials. If you kind of look at the current state of play we are in today, there is a huge amount of advancement in the AI generated models, large language models sort of area, right? And compared to even a year and a half ago, these models have matured massively. And specifically, what is relevant for us today is the code generation. And they have become really, really good at code generation. Yes, these models do have some issues around like hallucination, potentially creating bad quality code, etc., etc. But even with those sort of limitations, they're generally able to do things quite well these days. So I decided, and I was thinking before deciding, to be honest, like how can I provide more value to, the people who would be watching this video? And I thought, instead of building another sort of dbt modeling sort of training sort of video, I think what would be actually really, really helpful for for you all would be to watch a video where, we are basically building dbt model using AI assistance, right? So it's not just kind of building dbt model from scratch. We would basically use AI to help accelerate our dbt modeling. And I do think, honestly, that that's going to be the future that we're going into. And a lot of the time, the organization will demand that the sort of speed of these deliverables are much more faster. So I think I'm hoping basically that this would lay the foundation for you to start experimenting on your own, see what is going to be useful for you, what is going to be something that you can take away, or what you can you don't need to take away that you don't find it helpful. So that's my intention, and in order for me to kind of do that, I'll need to move away from what we've been doing slightly previously. So I was using VS Code as our core IDE. And in this video, I will be using Cursor as our core IDE. And I'll kind of give you a bit of a background on what the differences might be. And within the Cursor, what and how we're going to be using this to build our dbt model. And we'll basically build things together. We'll make mistakes together. We'll use AI to basically recorrect ourselves and see how much we can push AI to help build our dbt models. That should be like super exciting stuff. So without further ado, I think let's dive right in to start building our dbt models. All right, so let's start building our dbt model. So as you know, this is the GitHub, and this is just to put it here as a reference purpose. This is where we ended in our previous video. We have our main branch, and we have some transformation folder that we basically built it. And now we're going to basically extend this and build more dbt models that can answer the business questions that I mentioned at the start of this video. And those business questions are here. So these are the 20 questions that I am wanting my dbt model when it's built fully, to be able to answer these specific questions. So what this would mean is, in the real life scenario, these questions would be used by, your business users, your maybe stakeholders within your organizations, analysts, etc., etc. There are a variety of different user personas that fits into these questions. They will be able to write their own business, their own SQL queries, or then use things like business intelligence tools to go answer these business questions. So basically, our dbt model should be structured and built in such a way that can answer these business questions. So this is our core use case. There are 20. There's a lot of them, I know, but the reason there are 20 of them is because I really want to push AI to see how fast it can help build dbt models with these business questions, and how much we'll have to continue to fine tune to be able to answer these questions. And we might not be able to do all of this, and I might maybe give some of this to you as a homework. Let's see. If we can answer good portion of these questions, that's great. That's a great start. So this is our core reference, and then we'll then go into the cursor. So cursor, it's quite simple. All you need to do is just Google cursor, download it for whatever machine they're using, Mac or Windows, and you should be pretty good up and running. And you'll see from the interface here, it is not completely dissimilar from a VS Code, right? Because cursor is basically a fork of VS Code. So it's exactly the same looking, the similar functionalities, features, but the cool stuff here is that they have, integrated the AI almost as natively as part of the cursor. So it is able to do really, really powerful stuff. And if you've been using cursor to do something else in the past, that's great. You know how cursor works. But for new viewers who are here today, cursor, you can use this to really build super powerful applications and solutions and software and a lot of things, right? So the reason, as I was saying at the start, is I want to basically use cursor to also start building dbt models and really help speed up the process of development of our data warehouse models, because at least that's what I believe the future is going to be, and we'll make a lot of important decisions together with AI. And obviously, humans will always be in the loop to make sure that the quality of what these things are outputting is always good quality. Now, with that out of the way, the only thing that you need to know in cursor is there is a chat where you can basically put your chat. You can select different sort of large language models, and you can say if you want to run it as an agent, you want to have a planner, you want to just ask questions without the agent basically start building things for you. And for me specifically, I like using Sonnet or Anthropic models, especially for coding purposes. And recently, there's a lot of new models who have actually caught up with Anthropic coding models, such as Gemini 3 is super powerful. You have GPT-5 models, which are also very, very good. But I'm going to stick to the latest model, Opus 4.5, because I think it's pretty powerful. And also, we're kind of learning together here, so I want to make sure I go with the highest model. Now, there is a cost associated with it. For free users, you'll get a very limited number of sort of non-premium models, and I do believe that you get access to Composer 1. Composer 1 is the Claude's latest model, and it's their own in-house model from what I know, and it's pretty good, I have to say. It's not as bad as some other models which have came in the past. So if you're not willing to pay subscription fee to Cursor, then I think you are stuck with the free models, and whatever you do by yourself might not be the similar quality of what you see hopefully here on our screen, right? So I'm going to stick to Opus 4.5. That's an Anthropic model, and I'm going to set the setting to agent. Now here we go to our terminal, and we'll in the terminal we'll do git status, and we are in the main branch. Now recently I've even started giving instructions to AI, the agents, to basically create everything for me from scratch. So for me to basically start with building dbt model, I like to start by telling AI I have a requirement to build dbt model for, I'll just say I have a requirement to build dbt model. Please review what we have right now and build your knowledge. And also we know in our main branch we have a very basic model, so I would just say currently we have a very basic model, but we are trying to build a full and complete dbt model which uses Google BigQuery Stack Overflow public data set to build a full and complete dbt model which uses Google's BigQuery Stack Overflow public data set to answer some business questions. These business questions are as below. And we'll go back here and we'll copy, apologies. We'll copy this, paste it here. Just use some sanitization of the spaces. Now we have basically given enough information as a start to say what we're trying to do and what are the business questions that we want this guy to answer, right? Now it is not fully ready because the way you need to kind of understand when you're utilizing AI is that as much as information you can provide and context you can give to the AI, the output of your values are going to be pretty good, right? Because if you just give very basic information of what your requirements are to the AI, it will make a lot of assumptions that might not be really good for you. And it might kind of create more issue than, good stuff. And most of the time when people say, yeah, AI is giving me really, really, bad code or low quality code. And most of the time is because, AI is lacking enough context. So taking a step back before we even continue with this thread, right? If you look at here, what I've done, I'm giving, the model an instruction so it can infer and understand, okay, the model itself uses Stack Overflow public data set. What it will do, or it will attempt to do behind the scene, is because these large language models are already pre-trained on, huge amount of public data, it already has a good understanding of BigQuery public data set, especially Stack Overflow. So it would immediately pull all the schema information, context about what the Stack Overflow data set is about, the descriptions and metadata and whatever information is available, and it's trying to kind of work out how it's gonna have to think when it designs the dbt model that would answer these business questions. It's super important. And you might be thinking, okay, you know what, like currently Google BigQuery is a public data set. What would I do? How would I do with my own data set? So there are a couple of things. We don't have to go too deep into this. You might have heard or you might not have heard of a kind of acronym called MCP. MCP stands for Model Context Protocol. And is a very similar concept as an API. But MCP is basically, let's call it a layer that enables your AI agents to communicate with other tools. So in this case, BigQuery has an MCP server. So we could basically set up our process here in such a way so that your cursor, the models within your cursor, through an MCP layer can communicate to BigQuery. You'll have to obviously do it in a secured way. There would have to be credentials, etc., but it is entirely possible. So in that case, you could say, use an MCP server, and this is the BigQuery raw data set that we have in our BigQuery, and understand everything about it. And then, help me build dbt model. Things like that. So, it's something we can look into that in a much more detail in upcoming videos possibly. But for now, to give you a bit of background, because I do think instead of diving right into and start building things, which is always fun, is good. We are going to go there very, very soon. But if I don't give you this background context of how to think, when you're using AI, I don't think it will help you in any way, because you'll be lacking a lot of context on why I'm making certain decisions, why am I writing these prompts in a certain way, right? So that's great. Next, if you remember, I also mentioned that the dbt modeling, we need to make certain decisions around what kind of dbt model or data warehouse models, we want to build. And data warehouse model in this case would be things like Kimball model, star schema, hybrid model, a mix of star schema, one big table, as well as maybe Mendelian architecture. There's a lot of those things that goes into when you're thinking about data modeling. And if you remember, in our previous video, we very kind of quickly covered, we have kind of models here, an example, and this is where we would be building and designing our data warehouse models. And I have basically pre-decided how the dim and fact models sort of should look like, what the dbt model, the folder structure, that should look like. And I'm going to basically just tell the AI agents here, like what the structure of this dbt model that I want it to do. And the reason that I'm doing this is because I want this video to be not completely, go on a tangent, because AI is making sort of, completely mad decisions, which is entirely possible, by the way. And I have basically, in a different session, did a bit of a brainstorming with the AI on, if I want to build this, how the structure of the warehouse should look like. And then depending on that information that has been giving me back and forth, I have basically agreed on a structure that I think is going to be nice, which can answer some of these questions. So all I'm going to say is like, I have some initial thoughts on how the dbt models should be structured. I would copy and paste it here. And you can see the modeling structure, the way we would basically design our data model is going to have 3 layers in them. We're going to have the staging, and we're going to have the warehouse layers, and then we're going to have the mart layers, right? So the staging layer would contain somewhat cleansed data from the raw tables that we have. And then the next one we would have would be the warehouse layer, which is where we would do some sort of like enrichment, joining of different tables and things like that. And the mart layers would be our analytics ready layer. The tables within our dim and fact models within this layer is something that would be able to answer those business questions specifically. So I've given enough context, I've given enough information about the structure that I want, and let's see what else we need to do. Okay, so then next, what we want to do is also at the same time, make sure, because we are already in the main branch and we don't want anything to be created in the main branch, we want to basically also say, so also please create a new branch, which follows. So that we build all our models in this branch. This is super important because you don't want to create anything in the main branch. So depending on what the details that we provide, it will basically select the feature branch name and also create everything in there. Now, sometime, this I'm cheating a bit here because in the real life scenario, you might have been given a ticket, and depending on the ticket, you might be creating feature branch name based on those tickets, things like that. So there's a lot of those like small caveats there, which is not here, but bear with me. We're trying to build a dbt model, and that's our focus right now. So we are basically saying, let's create the feature branch as well. So then with all these information now you have. Please provide me with your plan before building so that I can review. And we basically just send that instruction and see what it comes up with. Okay, it came up with this branch name, so that's good. Let's press enter in the cursor, the terminal, just do get status. Great, I'm just going to clear it. Get status. Yeah. So now, yeah, we're in this branch, so that's good. Visualization strategy. Okay, let's go through these one by one now. I think it is still doing it. Let's give it a second. All right, let's start from the top. So it is basically saying the current state analysis, what it exists, basic dbt structure, example models, perfect, target folder compiled, SQL, previous session, intended structure. These are not actual source models. Yep, that's fine. The models folder only contains model example, placeholder db model. Yeah, so this baby, because like I said previously, I was playing around with a bit to make sure I am happy with the structure of these models. So I think I might have compiled it previously. So the target models still have those cache stuff. So ignore that. You might not have this when you're doing it for the first time. The model folder only contain this, the models, example, placeholders, dbt models. Fine. What's missing? Yep, agree with that. I agree with this. So proposed implementation plan. It needs to update the project YAML. Yeah, that's correct. It needs to do that. Sources of YAML is missing pretty much everything, I should say. So yes, it should do that. Create a folder structure, which we know we don't have it here. We have marts, but we don't have anything else. So we would have to do that. In fact, let me just delete this now because we are in so marketing. These are empty folders, so I'm just going to delete this. If not, it's going to be confusing. That's it. So we have model marts. Marts is completely empty now. It's saying it's going to create these tables, models in the staging layer. It's going to standardize timestamp fields, rename fields, classify batch types, etc. Seems all decent. Warehouse layer, table. It's going to create these tables, models based on these dependencies. It's going to enrich logic, create a batch, questions, answer. Okay, fine. You can do that. And mart layer table, purpose, business ready dimensional models. Fine. It's dim uses dim questions, dim answers, tags. Okay. I'm just skimming through just to make sure that it's not going to go and do something silly, because it is very important to make sure you're happy with the plan. If you're not happy with the plan, you would basically continue to refine until you get a satisfactory sort of output from this before you continue with it. And it's also suggested, initially, I was thinking we would just write or tell AI to generate SQL code for us that will then use to go answer those questions. But it's basically saying it's going to create an analytic reporting layer as views. I'm like, okay, sure, go and do it for now. It's a first version anyway. If I'm not happy with anything here, I'm going to have to refine it. So that's fine. It's the proposed folder structure. That's completely reasonable because initially I provided the structure of this. And I would recommend you to also do the same. So play around with this in a different session, come up with a structure that you want. You would also want to prompt specific things if you want structured, such as different data modeling techniques requirement. You would do it there, right? For now, for the simplicity's sake, let's just use this as a guiding point and continue reviewing materialization strategy. I'm happy with it. I don't really see a value in staging, materializing tables in the staging, at least in this stage. unless maybe there are really large tables that's going to have a performance impact, maybe we can rethink our materialization strategy then. But for now, let's go ahead with it. Warehouse, marts, etc., they need to be sort of materialized anyway, so that's okay. Fact would have an incremental strategy added to it. I don't know why it is not suggesting incremental strategy to the marts dimension tables. A gap, maybe we can consider this as the second iteration. Questions, these things will answer these questions. Fine. I'm going to skip it for now. And it's suggesting this is how it's going to implement in order. I think they look reasonable, exactly the same as previously. That's fine. This ID dbt Bootcamp is the project ID apparently, so that's fine. I will say yeah, go ahead. And dataset naming, do you want to use these naming conventions? Yep, that's fine for now. Incremental model has large dataset, fine. Freshness checks on your source tables. Testing, should I include tests? I would say let's do this, because I don't want it to, although the plan is great, it's a good starting point. Whenever I'm building anything that is AI assisted, or if I'm vibe coding, I try to basically make sure that I am not trying to tell it to do so many things in one go. I like to basically tell it to be like, start with like small chunk, give me a bit of a space to review everything first, make sure like it does make sense, especially in the case of like model building for dbt. I would basically, you'll see we'll do it together, but I'm just telling in advance, like I would basically start running these models first and see if there are any gaps before we can even go and do testings. Because I agree, like testing is important, but because it's all AI generated, I want to ensure everything is in a working order first. Then we start adding more things on top of that. Things like decision makings around incremental models, data freshness. Maybe we can add it, but it's an example tutorial right now, so maybe a bit of an overkill. But I would say testing is of a higher priority, because we do want a testing to be done to make sure our models are of a higher quality. It's able to handle problems and issues better. It's not going to break the whole production if you release these code to production. So testing is super core part of our should be a part of our strategy. So with that, I think I'm going to give it a go for this to go and build it, and let's see what it does, right? So let's just to double check, we are in the right branch, and we have nothing else in here, just example models. And we are going to say that, yes, please go ahead with building only dbt models. All seems to be in order. We can skip decisions around incremental. I think I'm going to leave the incremental for now. Data freshness and test, which we will come back later once I've validated the code you generated. And also, what should I do? Should I use this? Yeah, I think let's just press enter and see what it does. Yep, it's making directory. And also, by the way, while it's doing, it's important for you to actually not just let it do and go away and do whatever you need to do. I like to basically sit and watch what it's doing. It helps in a couple of ways, right? Because first of all, it helps you sort of see how the AI is making decisions. And there are things sometimes you can learn as well with the different commands and tools that the AI is using. So it's quite useful. Second of all, you can always watch over what it's doing. And as soon as you start noticing that it's going mental, you can basically press stop immediately and correct the path, right? So whenever it's building something, especially if I'm just building the core foundation, which is what we're doing now, I want to make sure that I'm sitting here, I'm watching it over, and I'm kind of making sure that it's actually doing what it should be doing. So just be aware that you're not like just saying this to build things and then go away and come back later and it's broken everything. And you can see, I mean, the speed of code generation is just next level, right? And the real life scenario, we will obviously have to validate everything. Human will have to do a PR reviews, test and checks everything before it goes to production. I mean, including UAT, right? Because if we are basically generating code using AI, even with the most amount of context, we cannot skip the typical kind of software development lifecycle approaches with our model, because it's such a mission critical or business critical things that we will be doing in the real life scenario. So something to be aware of. Just because you can generate code faster doesn't always mean that it should go into production fast. It should still go through all the checks that we would typically put in place. It's almost there. It's generating the Mart layer now, so that's great. It's in the phase 5 now. Really, really fast. And I've been using different models for almost a year now, and I must say the models, the speed of the generation of code with these models have just become so much better than what they were before. So it's going to be very interesting going forward, the direction of this AI generated code. It's trying to create, it's trying to remove the example folders even. I mean, you can say it's really, really smart, although I've done it manually because it wasn't aware of that context that I had removed it, but so it tried it. But yeah, it's now completed and it's just giving us the final summary of what is done and what's created. And now it's up for us to go and test it out. Let me just double check. That's good. And these are all the models. You have Mart, you have the reporting staging warehouse, you have the project YAML. I'm just going to say keep all for now. Okay, so let's review. So staging, we have the staging sources YAML. It's using the BigQuery public data, schema Stack Overflow. It's got column descriptions for each of the tables here, which is and should be equal to what we have basically. It should be, and it should reflect what we previously said before, so that's good. You have the source destination definitions. We have in the warehouse the models, warehouse models. In the Marts, we have the Mart models. That is good. And then just double checking what else we're missing here. Okay, so now the next step should be for us to run these models, at least the first one, the staging model, to double check. So in order for us to do that, let's clear this. Let's I would say source dbt in b bin activate. Okay, so something odd is happening. I might have done something to break my virtual environment. That's not a problem. It's actually perfect for us to also use AI to fix it. Hopefully it can do it. So let's see what we need to do. I am trying to build the dbt models that you created. I need to activate my VM, but when I do this, I get an error. Can you help double check this and help fix it? Perfect. So I think something got corrupted when I was maybe playing around with it previously. So I've had to recreate the dbt environment, and I think that's it. That should do it. And with that, I should also add dbt env to the git ignore. Let's do git status. There'll be a bunch of things, models, marts, warehouse layer, reporting staging. That's good. We deleted these ones, so that's fine. dbt project YAML, we updated. Git ignore, we updated it. So what I'm going to say now is source. I had this before, so activated. So that's good. And we can also we tested previously like dbt version. So I have the dbt version, dbt ready. I can just do debug as always, just to make sure all the configurations and everything is set up properly. I'm just going to expand this area a bit. Give it a few seconds and we should have an answer. Okay, that looks good. Seems to be good. It's not able to find the project YAML, which is okay, and I know why. Because we're not in the right folder, so we need to be in a transformation folder, and then we clear this up, we run it again. Beautiful. This is a very, very good start. We got the right database project that we need to use, so that is a very good start. Let me close the git ignore file. So with that, let's run dbt run -m staging. We'll just create a staging layer, which we know it's all going to be views, but this is a good initial run to see if the model even does anything. And let's go, maybe just open one. Let's check quickly. So we have configuration materials view. It's reading from badges and the naming is correct. These are all the columns. It even applied some initial sort of badge classification names, so that's good. The same principles, nothing much really happening. Is pretty much, I would say, select style with some basics, basic sort of data cleansing happening, some formatting happening here. Yeah, this looks good. Very simple, straightforward. It's something you would have to basically copy paste and write all manually, but now, you know, it's all done through the agents, LLM agents, so that's good. And here, let's do refresh the page actually, because yeah, it's a bit stale. So it's better to just refresh the whole page. Okay, let's have a look. There you go. This is great. So we have Stack Overflow staging. Sure, we'll fix it. It says staging Stack Overflow badges. This is, as we know, is a view from this icon, and we can see these are all very, very good. And there are a few things that I think we could do, like adding descriptions, fixing this, which is what we'll do next. But before that, what I will say is, please next commit all changes properly. Changes and models I'll stop it quickly because there's a typo. You've made properly. So when we do this, it will commit all the changes because as you know, I'll just create a new terminal, by the way, and I'll do git status so we can see. So there's a lot of changes that has happened. So I want to make sure I commit all the changes properly first. And then I want to basically add those additional changes that we just discussed, right? So maybe updating why saying stack overflow, which is because of the way that we're defining the schema, as well as how it is defined here in the dbt project YAML. I'll show you just in a moment once it's finished committing all the changes. So this is great. If we go back to our terminal, we'll just do git status. Should all be clear, and it has a very good sort of detailed commit message. So that's good. Next, what we'll say is to the model is this is great when we try to create our dbt staging model, it gets created as this. As you can see, a Stack Overflow flow is repeated. And ensure other models are not doing the same thing. Let's see what it's going to do. As I said, it has the Stack Overflow prefix, and as you can see, it fixed it. All right, so instead of Stack Overflow staging, it's only going to call warehouse, mart, staging, etc. And this was basically being repeated again and again because we had Stack Overflow defined previously. So now it has created this. Next, what we'll do is, let me delete this. This is why I was saying, like, you can create everything using AI and agents and whatever, but you have to double check everything properly and then fine tune it a bit so you're happy with all the things it's doing. And we'll do the same for the rest anyway, so we should be okay. All right, it's starting the model generation now. Yep, great. Happy days. Nice. Fairly quick. And this time, I will just refresh the content from here. So refreshing the whole page. This is beautiful. We have all these things properly. So that is good. Next, what I want this thing to do is please commit this. And next and after, please update our model tables with proper descriptions. So when they become BigQuery views tables, they are not missing description. So we still need to follow the typical sort of best practices, like frequently committing your changes is super important. And I should say it's even more important than previously because we are now using AI agents, and every single time you forget to commit and there are any issues, you are at a high risk of overwriting all the changes that you would have kind of done previously. So I like to basically make sure that, you know, I commit frequently, tell the AI to commit frequently, and then whenever there are problems, I have a proper Git log to go back and, you know, take whatever I want and remove whatever I don't want it. So it's pretty important stuff. So next, the reason the descriptions were missing was because they were not put in, obviously. So it's created the models YAML, which has a bunch of descriptions, the column name and descriptions here. I think it was previously missing because these things seems to be new. So that's good start. And I think it's also doing for reporting and marts as well. So for each of these, you now have the description. So that's a good start. Okay, great. Let's do git status first, just to see what has done it. Okay, great. Git status looks good. So it's committed all the changes that it's done. And then now in the staging, we have our models with the descriptions. So let's go back. I'm just going to delete it for now. It's easier. We'll recreate it. Okay, the model creation is completed. We'll go back to BigQuery, refresh contents, and let's hope it has descriptions now, and the descriptions are still not here. And I think I remember actually the reason the descriptions are not appearing is because there is a specific configuration that is missing. So let's go back and double check what are we missing. All right, so let's see this here, right? So previously the descriptions were not visible here, and as I suspect there was a setting missing. So in the dbt project, the persist doc wasn't turned on. So I think now with this setting turned on, I think this should be good to go. And also the reason you might be wondering why specifically for the staging layer, you have two of these, like one for source and one for model. The source is actually for the source tables, and then the output model specific ones are for the models that we just generated earlier. So these are the ones that's going to go into our model. The same goes for here, but these we only have one because now this warehouse analytics and the reporting, etc., they're all part of our model, so we don't need to have the source stuff anymore. So let's try to just rerun staging as it is, because I think it should overwrite. If it doesn't, we'll have to use the -- full refresh. So a lot of those details I won't go into right now, but I do have all of that like super well detailed covered in my dbt Masterclass course. So if you want to kind of deep dive into those specific low level stuff, you can go have a look at it. But for now, let's just go back here, refresh contents, and let's see if it's actually there. Awesome. This is great, right? So now we basically, if you think about it, we solve a bunch of problems, some complex ones, some easy ones. We clarified our questions around why do we have two. The model, I mean, these guys are really good. The AI was able to pick it up, fix it for you, given sort of analysis on why certain things are done in a certain way. It's being able to do commits, etc., etc. So you can see in such a short amount of time period, we literally took the business question and created the whole dbt model, right? It is such a huge development in the way of how we build dbt models, and this is why I wanted to kind of do it this way instead of the other way, right? Which is just building everything from scratch. It would have taken us solid amount of hours to get to where we are today. And this way, if we're not happy, we can literally just go back and forth, refine it, fine-tune the design. We can make sure we add optimizations, all that amazing stuff. The iteration of things that coming out from our workflow is just so much faster, right? So anyway, let's continue. We created previously the staging model. Now we're going to create the models for warehouse. Yeah. That's called warehouse. And these are all going to be, I believe, materialized tables. That's correct. And you can see the structure of this is literally just a bunch of CTEs. And this is what you would do. Anyway, so answers, questions, some joins, and it's creating some sort of warehouse tables based on the business questions that will need to get answered through the mart layer. Right, so it has a lot of transformation, not overly complicated, as you can see, just some formatting, some coalesce, counts, case when statement, just the standard sort of data modeling stuff that we would do anyway. These are large, by the way, but it should be okay because everybody gets a terabyte, I believe, of BigQuery per month usage, so it should still cover, but just be a bit careful. You don't want to kind of, rack up your credit card with huge amount of billing. So let's refresh the content again. I'm hoping to see my warehouse table. That is beautiful. And next, I'm going to create our marts. This is with marts layer. Let's give it a minute. Mart layer has quite a few things happening. As you would have noticed, we have sort of star schema model here. In fact, and dims for each specific area. Yeah, it's a good idea to sometimes group them into specific areas of the business, because then it just makes the model management much more easier for people. So let's see, this created our mark tables. Mark tables for dim and facts. So we'll go here, refresh the content again. We now have the marks. Beautiful. Right, so we got our dim, we got our fact, and then the last one is the reporting. And while it's doing that, I'm just going to quickly double check git status, make sure it's all clear, which is true. So I'll leave that there. And let's double check what's happening in the reporting. Reporting, we have our descriptions. Actually, let's so just looking at these, just double check they have descriptions. That's great. Yeah. So obviously, if we're building all of this, right, you would go through one by one, double check everything. Descriptions are correct. Is exactly what your business wants, because we generated descriptions just picking up an example through an AI, and AI had made a certain amount of assumptions to give you the best descriptions, but it shouldn't be just something that ends there, right? It should be human validated. Someone from your team should validate it, make sure it is acceptable, and then it should go into the main branch and get merged. So that's something just to be aware. And I know I keep on repeating this again and again because it is such an important thing that we don't forget. All right, it's saying it's created 9 reporting views. Good. Let's see, there's reporting. It's just easier, to be honest, because we don't really have to go and sort of write all those queries for these things. So as you can see, you already have the queries in here. So all you have to do is query, do select star, hopefully, then you run it. There you go. So this is, we are using a report posting trend. If we go back to our chat history, at the top, we had, somewhere here, the details on which question it is answering. So it is the reporting posting trend. Report posting trend. There you go. It would answer the question number 8, which is monthly trend. Question number 8 is monthly trend. What is a monthly trend of questions and answers? So if we go back to our BigQuery, it would say, yeah, I mean, this gives you that answer, which is pretty good. So you can see here, these are the views. And as you saw previously, we have the question, which is a monthly, what is a monthly trend of questions and answers? And you have all the details here. So we have period year, period detail. And if we just go back here, let's try to understand this a bit. So schema, period year. So this period detail contains the month, hour, day, number of the year. And then the period label contains the human readable period label. And so if we go back, it tells you what is this? It's Tuesday, Thursday, morning, night, year, date, year, month, sort of stuff. So this is a very, good starting point where we can start to answer some of these business questions. And don't forget, like, if you go back to this, there are the single view that we just created, the reporting view, can answer multiple questions that we have today, right? So that's great, because now you can see here in our reporting view here, we have all the columns here, which is maybe not useful to answer all the questions that we have today. So that's why this is good, because one view can answer multiple questions, and that means, yeah, it's much more efficient, and you can answer specific business questions. And we can pick another example here. Question 18 is something to do with tech specialists. So let's see question 18. Who are the tech specialists, domain experts? Let's see, tech specialist. And we pick the view we have. We query, we select star from. And we run this. Okay, let's see if it makes sense. The tag, let's see the tag specialist first. So tag is the technology, tag name, user identifier, display name. And if we go back, this one, I'm just going to move it over here. These are the tag specialist, and you can see the expertise level and, yeah, what they're doing, what's their reputation, how many answers in tag, accepted answers, scores, average score, question in tag. Is really, really good, I have to say. You know, obviously there's a lot of refinement we can do, but this is such a good starting point. And I've limited 1,000, but just an FYI, in BigQuery, the consumption or the processing cost is not dependent on the limit 1,000, by the way. If you're new to this, it depends on the number of columns that you're selecting. So you can see like that the first thing that you have to do is before you press run, you have to always wait and see how much total this query is going to process, because depending on that, that's going to cost you money. But obviously BigQuery gives you the free every single month, so you have to also keep that in mind. Just an FYI. The limit is something that comes by default. It's just a UI thing. It doesn't really do anything with the cost limitation that you might be expecting. So be careful. So I think this is good time for us to just move on to the next bit, because we do have a bunch of questions that we've answered here, and I'll kind of leave that to you to kind of play around with it and see if it can actually answer some of these questions. It's going to be all in the branch anyway, like this. You will see in the main, you'll have a new branch here, so you can basically pick it up from there, play around with it. If there are problems, you know where to go to. You can use the AI to continue to fine-tune, continue to improve, things like that. So I will move on to the next bit, which is quite important. We'll basically say, next thing is, this is great. Can you please next update our README? Also ensure we have the business questions that our model can answer, and make sure it is industry best practice standards. And the reason I'm including question is because just so that you can you have access to the questions in the README as well. So when you basically play around with the model, you have the questions there that you can continue to fine tune and take it from there. So let's see what it does. I think we already have the README here. We should. So I think it will modify this, because this would have been just an initial sort of placeholder. And in our repository, we don't have the parent level README, so you have to go to the transformation to look at the README. So just an FYI. We'll give you the whole diagram. I realize the AI agents, they really love doing this sort of visual diagram, which is good, because then it helps you sort of understand what is happening within the model itself and how they're all connected to each other as well. So it's pretty good. Give it a few more seconds and we'll review it and see what is done. All right, just gonna keep all this clear. I'll also do a preview. Open preview. So you can read it in a proper format. Stack Overflow Analysis Analytics dbt project. We have staging, warehouse reporting. This is good. Overall status. Business questions answered. Content quality. Posting trend. Tag performance. It tells you which report models does what. That's good. This is great. You need to have a project structure in your README. Super important, so that's good to know. It has some high-level details. dbt data model structure. These are the tables. These are the warehouse layer, mart layer, reporting layer from the staging. All the downstream tables here. Key dimension fact. This is our mart layer. And then we have the initial getting started. This is good, so people will know how to set up the project. Data sources, that's just standard stuff. We need it. Naming convention, column naming, development workflow, testing. Well, we haven't got any testing added. We won't do it as part of this video, but we'll kind of cover it sometime again soon. Documentation, configuration, resources, great. This is a good starting point. I don't think it has actually committed any of the changes. Oh, it did. Oh, that's great. You see, like, we don't have to do all this small stuff anymore, which is just great. But you need a bit of a practice though, to make sure that, you know, the things that it is doing, you're happy with it. And it is basically giving you the quality that you expect it to give it to you. That's the most amount of, I think, the attention and detail focus is going to go into the next. So yeah, this is amazing. I am just going to do next, because I'm happy with this. I'm just going to do git push and set the upstream. Extension wants to sign in using GitHub. So I've connected my GitHub so I can do push. And yeah, this is all pushed now. That's good. I'll go back to my Git repository, just refresh. Oh, I can already see here. Fast fingers. So yeah, that's great. Yeah, so we can just double check what we have here. We should have in the transformation all the details. Beautiful stuff. This is great, right? So now I think this has hopefully helped you see how you can basically from the scratch build the whole dbt model using AI. Obviously, you have to be extremely careful with what you're doing. You have to provide the AI agents enough context information and, you know, all that rich data that they need so that you can build this really high quality data warehouse models. And I hope you can kind of see how fast we can kind of iterate our models, evolve our models, add new things. If we have any doubts, we use the AI to double check, you know, our understanding. Like one example, it was sort of intentional, but, you know, I wanted to show you, right? So the descriptions initially wasn't coming up, and I know why the description wouldn't show up, because we need a specific configuration. So instead of me having to go type up configuration, I just tell the AI to be like, you know what, I think there is a configuration missing, and that is causing the descriptions fields to not appear in the models. So in the tables in the BigQuery, can you do it? It did it right perfectly. So this, I think, is going to help us speed up a lot of our data warehouse modeling, and is the future. Right? So hope you found this very, very helpful. If you want to understand more of these in detail, because this is just an AI assisted development of dbt, there are a lot of like detailed low level stuff you need to understand to become a really strong dbt data warehouse modeler, you're more than welcome to look into my dbt masterclass, where I go into these topics in much more low-level details, and we look at like specific configuration settings and features within the dbt model to really kind of help you skilled up and become a master using dbt. So with that, I hope this video was really helpful, and I have kind of given you a new different perspective on how to build dbt model. And there are many more interesting topics that we'll try to cover in the upcoming videos. So please subscribe and keep a watch on my account. And yeah, I will see you in the next one. Thank you very much.